Quick question.
All right. That was so
Quick question.
So quick, I didn't even see it coming.
Quick.
So this question, I'm going to ask it, if quote unquote ask the question, and then I want you to tell me why I brought this up and why I phrased it this way and the story behind this. Hey Sean, quick question.
That's a loaded question already.
Oh, real quick, quick question. It's where we talk about questions that have long answers.
Yeah.
They do not have a quick answer.
Go
So
ahead.
you come into a drum shop, don't say quick question because it's going to take forever. All right, moving on. Hey Sean, quick question.
Yes.
My snare rings too much. Which is not a question.
That's not a question, but there's a backstory behind that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, that's funny. Well, I will delve into this backstory. A long time ago, we had a digital reader above our counter that you could program different things into it, and it read
Like a ticker, right?
Yeah, a ticker. Yeah, it was like that. It was like a ticker, and it said drums, etc., Drummers Pro Shop, and it said different things we had for sale, 14-inch coated ambassadors, or $10 on sale, and then it would just something for customers to read as they're standing there.
Right.
And one of the things that it read was the most common question we get asked is, my snare drum rings too much, which isn't a question. And I know Travis, who I worked with for a number of years, him and I would just laugh about that all the time.
That's so good.
We programmed it that way, but that's because we were told to program it that way.
Right,
So
you were given a script.
we were given a script, and that's the way
that's
the way it was written, and that's the way we put it in.
Right.
The most common question we get asked is, my snare drum rings too much.
That's amazing.
I say good, because a snare drum, in my opinion, I don't know where you want me to go with this, but I'm just
Go
gonna
wherever
say,
you want to go.
a snare
this is
drum
not a
is
script.
supposed to ring. For the most part, you have your range, and here it is. Here's your drum range for your snare drum, and the way you can articulate and your technique goes a long way, and how you play your snare drum goes a long way too. And a lot of drummers hear maybe a snare drum on a record, and they don't hear that ring. Well, guess what? When you're playing with a band, you don't hear that ring. When it's isolated, you just hit it and it rings, and it sounds hollow. I know that might bug you, but in my opinion, you got to learn to love that ring. Sometimes you want to dial it down a little bit. That's where a little pack of Moon Gel might help. Put that little Moon Gel on there. Callback, and you can put that on there very. Takes that overall overtone out of it very quickly and effectively. But I think that your snare drum should ring. There's nothing worse than seeing someone that has a $1,000 snare drum, and you got duct tape, and you have studio rings and a Remo muff, and sometimes a pillowcase in there, or in your snare drum. Like, oh my gosh, don't do that. Learn to adjust. There's a lot of adjustments on your snare drum, and just learn to adjust it properly. And I think, and learn to love it. Learn to love that ring, man. I love it.
Yeah, I would say, obviously, go for the sound that you'd like. And I would say that for a live sound versus hey, I'm going into the studio and recording. When you go into the studio, all rules are gone. Okay? Like, forget your pride. Forget your specific dialed in live drum sound. You know what I mean? Like once you go into the studio, there are so many other people involved and so many other visions, and you got the engineer, and then you have the limitation with what you're working with. I would say go into the studio with an open mind. And if you record a song and you've got a pillowcase in your drum and duct tape on your snare, fine. Because that's what was needed to get the proper sound in the studio. It's all about the end result. It's all about the sound, not the look or the feel or that sort of thing. Now, going into a live room, certainly you're in control of your own sound. Obviously, the sound man is going to mix you in the mix if you've got sound reinforcement and that sort of thing. But for the most part, 90% of what the audience is going to hear is determined by you, by your tuning, by the drums you picked, by the way that you're striking the drums, right? So my snare drum rings too much is not a question, but it is.
But it's the most common question we get asked.
It is a very, if it annoys you, then change it.
Sure.
It's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. But I would say I would encourage everyone to err on the side of having it a little bit more open than what you normally get, because the feedback that you get from sitting up right above the drum is very different than what they get in the audience.
Yeah.
I recently experienced this a couple months back. I loaned my snare drum out, my kit and snare drum out, and I had a snare weight on it, which is a nifty little gadget. Maybe we'll highlight that at some point. But look, basically a strip of leather, weighted strip of leather that just kind of controls the snare a little bit. At this gig, there were 2 drummers playing 2 drum sets on stage. One drummer played, and his snare was wide open. The other drummer played, and I was in the unique perspective where I was listening to my kit from the audience and played my kit.
Cool.
And I really missed the liveliness of the snare drum.
Yeah.
You know, because I had that thing completely out. Like it was pretty muffled. It was pretty muffled, which was great for recording that I had just done on the drum, like literally that week, right? But at the live event, especially going back to back, it was a unique experience because I got to hear this drum and then hear this drum, and I'm like, man, I wish that was wide open.
Right.
Because from the drummer's perspective, fine. From the audience perspective, I wanted a little bit more liveliness out of it.
Yeah.
A little bit more tonality of the drum itself, not just the, impact and the way, and obviously the room effects of the mics affect it. That goes without saying. But I would say if you're debating muffling a little bit more, muffling a little bit less, and you're talking about a live scenario, leave it a little bit more open.
Yeah.
Because I think that the audience is going to experience what you wish you were hearing behind this, behind the set.
Yep. Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right. So moving forward, we are going to bring on our guest. But first, we're going to talk about our guest. I know we did a little bit earlier.
Yeah, let's talk about him a little
Let's
more.
just talk about him a little bit
sure.
more, just
Before we bring him
build him up a little bit.
Yeah.
Before he, makes his entrance here. No, but Rick Nonemacher has been a teacher here, obviously, you said you've known him for 20 years.
Easily.
He's been here doing it. He's played in local band Memory Lapse, most recently, I believe, which you can correct me if I'm wrong. He is a drummer, one of the drummers on rotation at the LCBC main campus, which is a large church that is spreading throughout Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so if you want to see him in action.
If you want to see him in action, check that out. I know that they do like live streams and stuff. They're on it with their tech and their social media.
And also, quite the guitar player. He's very modest with that.
That's
but he's
true.
quite the guitar player. I don't know if you have that on your notes there.
He's one of these
but he's a heck of a guitar player.
He's one of these drummers that you kind of hate because he can also play guitar and sing.
And
you're like, come on,
He
dude.
sings. He plays guitar.
You do it all.
He's a song and dance man. He plays the drums.
I've never seen him dance, but
I have.
You've seen him dance?
Absolutely.
All right. You've known him longer than me.
I have.
But anyway, we are going to bring on Mr. Rick Nonemacher for our segment Between the Plot.